the way we ball.
Oh, hello, pew pew.
It
Yes,
has been some time. It has been some time.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we've been off for a little bit, but
Yep.
now we are back, and it is game one of the finals. We just watched game one,
We
so this will
did.
be our reaction.
This is our
Pod,
first ever, I believe, game reaction one.
right, right,
Um,
in which we
it-
have like zero clips to actually show behind it. And we're just gonna,
I mean, I don't think anybody's allowed to do that. Fucking guys who are licensed by the NBA are still getting copyrighted if they try and use clips right after
right.
the game. But we've
YouTube
got
is not what it used
thoughts.
to be.
They can't
Yes,
copyright my thoughts. They
that's right.
can't copyright my
We
thoughts. No
can
one,
though.
no
We
one
can.
wanted to.
No one did.
That's been the problem for
Yeah,
most of these years.
just our lives, really. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've got weeks of stuff to catch up on, but we just had a
Yeah,
game one of the NBA finals and it was
yeah.
really fucking good and we should talk about it. So before we get into what you call it, the actual game itself, a little bit about like what we were thinking going into the
Yeah,
series.
yeah. So we prepared some things. We've been off for a little bit, really since Mother's Day. So
Yeah.
that's 3 weeks that we haven't done anything. We had some things going on personally that kept us
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
but
Made it a little bit hard to record for a little while.
yeah,
But and that's why we don't want to catch up on everything in the next
yeah,
5 minutes.
yeah,
But what there is to say is the Knicks swept the Cavs in that
yeah,
series, swept them handily. They've been resting for, I mean,
yeah,
I heard a stat in the game where they said that they had played 4 games in the last 23 days
yeah.
because they had swept in the second round and now they were sweeping again in this one.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. It is June the 3rd, and they haven't lost a game since April the 23rd.
yeah, yeah,
So, including the one we just watched.
yes.
So, this Knicks team, yeah, I don't know. I just it's impressive. This run they've been on is impressive.
It's
The
incredible.
the
No,
coming in, yeah,
Knicks are on a dead
like
eye
a
run for the fucking
like a
title.
generational fucking heater. And granted,
Yeah,
like this game, what's interesting to me about this is like outside of, well, not even outside of I was gonna say outside of game one of the Cavs series, which they fucking won. Like they've just been unbelievable. But including that, I mean, look, they coming into this, they had a 24.5 net rating, which would have been best in the league, right? Maybe historically great. They have a 126.5 offensive rating, which would be best ever. 102 defensive rating, which would be best in a decade. I mean, they were shooting as a team 53% from the floor and 41% from three. That didn't hold this game, but look,
I
I
was
mean,
gonna say I don't know if watching this game and watching the series that they've had before this felt like, hey
yeah,
man, look at that team just keep on rolling. Honestly, I'm more impressed because this was a very different kind of Knicks win that they just had,
yeah.
and it was a
Well, against they won on defense, right? Like
yes,
against a defensive juggernaut.
yes,
But to me, yeah, go ahead.
no, they gave up 40 points in the second half
Yeah,
of this game.
yeah.
But also they didn't shoot well. Like they
They
didn't
didn't.
have a good
Yeah,
shooting
they
game
did
at
not.
all.
Yeah, they absolutely did not.
And it wasn't because they were cold. The
Yeah,
Spurs locked their asses up. Like
they did.
they were
Yeah,
getting really tough shots
yeah,
and they were having a really tough time making them. And honestly, the thing that I walked away from this game going or thinking first and foremost is it's just really incredible to see the maturity of Karl Anthony-Towns.
that was
Like,
like my first fucking note. And
like
we'd seen it coming into this, but really seeing it
no.
here in this
This might be the
moment
best
was
game I've ever seen
so
him play.
impressive,
And
so
his stat
fucking
line
impressive.
won't scream it,
Right.
but
And the thing is his stats haven't screamed it all during this run. But if you watch, like what I loved, and that was one of the notes that I made to myself, like when I was watching the game, was just his energy right now is so focused. Like you don't see him complaining about calls. You don't see him getting, and I feel like this is a thing we've seen from him over and over and over where he gets frustrated. He gets
yeah,
frustrated, and then he gets these like, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, I'm throwing my hands up, I'm not like running back on defense, I'm complaining to the refs, I'm picking up like unnecessary fouls. You saw him pick up a couple of fouls, like a couple of
Yeah.
kind of bad fouls at the beginning. Look, he had one foul in the first half, picked up two within like the first couple minutes of the second half, but then locked back in, right? Immediately didn't complain to the refs. I just, to me, that kind of focus, and we can talk about the other things that he's doing, but I just feel like that kind of focus in particular and his defense
I
is just
absolutely
fantastic.
I agree that attitude is what you're seeing that's
Yeah.
totally different. And you called it frustration. A lot of the times, what I see whenever I first see him playing games and get in trouble, get in foul
Yeah.
trouble, or just kind of get into his own head,
Yeah.
is it's just like a kind of anxiety. He's
Huh.
really, really, really focused and excited about making sure that this is not going to be a playoff like the last
Yeah.
playoffs. And he
Yeah.
works his ass off and he
Yeah.
tries so hard. And sometimes that leads to a bunch of open shots. And sometimes that leads to fast closeouts that lead him to foul from behind. Sometimes it leads to slapping down. And he got a couple of those today.
He did.
He was just
But he didn't let
so
him it didn't he didn't
within
let him break
himself.
his focus. Yeah, exactly.
Not at
Like
all. Not at all. And
yeah.
honestly, it was what carried the team through three quarters
Yeah.
because the rest of this team did not play well for the first
Yeah.
three quarters of this game. And in ways that made me kind of worried about the
Yeah.
rest of the series while I was watching it, I was going, man, is Josh Hart going to be able to contribute on offense at all?
Yeah.
Is Brunson going to be able to ever effectively get to his shots?
Yeah.
And is Mitchell Robinson going to control the boards like we know that he can?
Well, that didn't
And
happen, but
some of those things happened. Some of those things happened differently in the fourth quarter, but they don't get to a fourth quarter where they're tied unless Karl Anthony-Towns is basically as aggressive as he was in the first quarter on offense, on or at scoring and getting to the cup and
yeah.
getting Wembanyama out of position, getting Wembanyama, making Wembanyama pay for his or for putting more attention on other people and making treating Cat like he's the secondary offensive player.
Yeah.
Cat just did so much there to make the things that would really stand out to me was you would see Cat obviously early closeouts. Wembanyama's guarding him like he's not quite like he's Caruso, but a little too much space because he has so much faith he can close out. And what Cat does is recognize, you know what? He can close out. If I shoot this three right here, this is
Yeah.
a harder shot. And if I step back a few shot steps, I'm giving him a win anyway because I'm
Yeah.
shooting a 27 footer no matter how open I am. Instead, he gets those closeouts and he just gets
Drives.
right to the cup, just
Yeah.
right to the cup.
Well, and
And
he got blocked early twice. Well, once that was a block, and the second was that overturned foul that ended up being an
yes,
offensive foul, which was
yes,
an offensive foul.
it was an offensive foul
You know,
and some gross slopping. But whatever, you
yeah.
do what you got to do, Carol. Hey, it's the NBA Finals. Who fucking
I
cares?
thought, hey, like I just feel like I'm not prepared to write like winners and losers because that seems silly, like a silly listicle thing to do. But
But
like,
refs weren't the
what was
nightmare.
was Scott Foster like kind of the winner of this game? Like, I felt like the refing was like pretty solid,
Totally
you know?
normal. Totally
Yeah,
normally called NBA game.
right, right.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Beautiful.
there were, yeah. I just felt like they're getting back to maybe the way they were calling it last year, which the last couple of years, which was
It
nice.
was a super physical game that they didn't
Yeah,
call too much on, and
right.
I loved what they
Yeah.
called. Yeah.
Yeah. I really felt like it was called well. But whatever. I mean, look, Josh Hart had 15 boards in this game. Did you realize that? I just pulled it
I
up.
did
Like,
whenever I did in the fourth quarter as it was
he
like
had some really
the
big offensive
seventh
and
minute or
defensive
so,
rebounds.
and
Yeah.
he had just created a few possessions in a row where
Yeah.
I was like, man, it feels like he's getting a lot of boards. And then they
Yeah.
said it, and they were like, he has 12. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Right.
And what's so funny about it is it had
I
felt
didn't
like
hear them even say it, but yeah.
it felt so bad. Like he felt like he had such a bad game for the first three
Yeah.
quarters
That's
because
funny.
when
I didn't really key on that, but yeah, that's huh.
well,
He
he
was
didn't
he was 1 for 5, so he didn't shoot well.
he didn't, and he also just didn't shoot. And
Yeah.
so much of that was just he early on was like, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to charge at Wimby, and I'm going to
Yeah.
see if I can put him in the pressure positions.
Yeah, and he
And
got
he
a
just
shot
kept
block.
learning. I
Yeah.
can't pressure this guy. There's nothing
Yeah.
for me. He'll recover. He'll be fine. He doesn't have to do much to block me or to cover me up here.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. But he never stops. He just keeps chugging and chugging. And who has a bad game in this game, and who Josh Hart punishes most of this game and was probably the worst Spurs rotation player, except for the guy I'm about to talk shit about because he's just more important, is Devin Vassell. Like Devin Vassell is getting just bullied in this
Yeah.
game over and over and over again. He just can't keep Hart off the boards.
Yeah.
And he's not such a threat on three that Hart's not worried, or that Hart's worried that, hey, they're going to get an offensive rebound and kick it right back out to Vassell, and I can't survive that. Instead, he's like, fuck it. The moment the shot is on the other side of the floor, I am dropping Vassell's body and I'm going straight to the fucking boards. And he created, like, Brunson doesn't have a run until doesn't have anything going on until like three possessions in a row where Hart gets the rebound, pumps it down the floor quick to Brunson, and Brunson sees Cornette at first and goes, "Oh, I can get past him, and then I can be in transition and get an easy layup." And then they put Wembanyama back in, and he still recognizes, yo, if Wemby's back over there, if this is transition, I can still beat him. And he
Yeah.
beats him two more times. And then Brunson has 6 points in the fourth quarter. And suddenly, some of those nightmare fucking shots he shoots over guys look a little more reasonable. And I mean, honestly, that doesn't start for Brunson until Hart gets him those shots because he's like, hey, we're fucking not scoring in this game when we just go, hey, let's play our normal offense and put it in Brunson's hands and run pick and
Yeah.
rolls. And Wemby's just giving up or taking away too much from us. But
He
in
is.
transition, we can keep staying in front of them and making them worried. And then our defense and the way it's been playing here will matter a lot because they haven't been able to score a run since, I mean, honestly, they didn't have a good run of consistent points after Champagne goes crazy in the second quarter. Like it just doesn't happen
The
again.
Spurs, yeah, they really
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, the
Yeah.
Spurs just don't score in the fourth
I mean,
or
Harper had a
in the
great
second
first
half.
half. Like, yeah, Champagne had that run.
And Harper looked great when he got the ball in the second half, but that's another one of my issues with how the Spurs actually played. If you had to ask me what happened at the end of this game,
Yeah.
what happened was Brunson hit big shots. Hart created a lot of those shots for him.
Yeah.
Anunoby got them to the point that even mattered by hitting 9 points in like fucking 60 seconds at the beginning of the fourth.
You
But
did.
then
Yeah.
what really happens is at the end of the fourth quarter, like Vassell can't hit a shot. And why is Vassell on the floor and Harper on the bench? Like, I just didn't get it at all. Harper was their
Yeah.
best perimeter scorer all game. And honestly, just their best scorer. Wembanyama had a terrible scoring game. Like,
He might have been. Yeah, he might have been the Spurs' best offensive player. Like
and
Castle
so,
has 17, but Harper had 16,
and
and
I'm
it
not
just
going to
felt
say
like
that
he was getting
totally.
whatever he wanted.
Wembanyama's like Curry in that, you just like on the offense and defensive side, you can't keep track of everything by just
Yeah.
the stats because of how much gravity he presents.
Well,
But
and the fouls. I mean, he just got like
I mean, well,
a ton
yeah,
of free
yeah,
throws.
he
He
got
took
fouled a million
13 free
times,
throws.
and all those Champagne shots are there because of Wembanyama.
Yeah.
But Harper had to be out there at the end of that game, and he just wasn't. And I, I didn't like how Johnson ran the rotations at the end of the game at all. Yeah.
It's interesting that you point to that. I mean, I do think, yeah, I mean, it is, you look at that and you go, well, okay. So to me, I just feel like this happened how I thought. Like the outcome is what I expected, but
Okay.
it kind of happened in a different way. I mean, I think before this started, I was messaging. I picked the Knicks. We didn't
Oh
actually
yeah.
do our picks, but
Oh yeah.
uh,
What you call it? I picked the Spurs in five, which was really more of a like. If I'm gonna be honest, my pick is the Spurs. Like
yeah.
I probably would have picked the Spurs in six, or what you call it, were I not in a playoff betting pool where winning six won't
We're
give me advantage me. But I was picking the Spurs in six. Eric picked the Knicks in seven.
no, I picked the Knicks at 6.
Knicks in six, excuse me. Eric picked
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Knicks in six.
We're talking about a betting pool we have with our friends. This is not explicitly something we've done on this podcast because we haven't done that as of yet.
But we
But
usually make picks, and we want
we
you
did.
guys to know we're not making
Yeah.
this bullshit up on the fly. We
Yeah.
totally typed them in somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. There is some documentation, but I'm with you. I don't think so. You think excluding how down you are in our playoff pool with our friends, would you have picked? You think you would have gone with Spurs and 6 or
That would have been
Spurs
my pick.
and
Yeah, Spurs and
yeah,
six would have been my pick.
yeah. I'm with you. I was very torn. I didn't. I kind of had no idea. I just feel like this like the last series has been just feels like it's kind of a toss up. So who the hell knows? But I like what I said to you beforehand was I felt like the Knicks will be able to guard Cat better than
You
the
mean
previous
Wembanyama?
teams. I'm sorry, yeah,
Wembanyama. Yeah.
sorry, excuse me. Guard Wembanyama better than the previous teams that they've seen,
Yeah.
especially than OKC. And I felt like that. It was funny because Richard Jefferson on the telecast was saying, "Oh, there was some point where he was like, yeah." The Spurs haven't seen a defense like this, and I was like, they just played the best defense in the league, but cool. And he was
One of
like,
the best ones of all
yeah,
time,
they have all
statistically.
this kind of length, and I was like, I don't think it's the length that because they have fucking Chet and like all these guys who take your fucking cookies. But I felt like the Knicks would guard Wembanyama better because of their heft, because they had more strength. But I thought it
I
was going to
mean,
be OG that was going to give
I
him
was gonna say, I
trouble,
think the biggest
and it
issue there
wasn't.
is
I thought it was going to be
it was
OG
Cat.
and
It was
Robinson,
Cat.
and it wasn't. Cat, and I thought Cat would hold up because of his strength, but like Robinson couldn't guard him. When they put Robinson on him, he had one good possession near the end of the game where he stopped him, but like by the end of the game, Wimby was. They showed a stat, and I kind of kept following it. Wimby was 2 for 8 or maybe 2 for 9 by
No,
the end
he was 3 for 10. I saw that same stat. He was 3 for 10 with
on Cat with Cat.
yeah, on Cat.
He was
Correct.
two. He was 1 for 7 earlier, and then he made a
Then he hit
shot,
a
and
few
then
shot. He hit a few shots at the
yeah.
end of the fourth. That's why I was gonna say I don't totally
But on
Wembanyama.
with Cat guarding him is what the stat was.
Wembanyama came up to or like came back. Wembanyama
He did,
had some rough possessions there, but
yeah.
he hits the three.
In
He
in the middle of the fourth, he kept driving, and I liked his aggression.
he drives on
Uh,
Cat and gets that and one.
yeah,
He gets a couple of free throws.
yeah,
Wembanyama, like he tried to will this game his
yeah,
way. It was just, I mean, Hart at the end of the game just kept giving them more possessions,
yeah.
and it just killed them. It just killed them. And then
I also just think that like Brunson is such a killer. Like
he is.
he's such a fucking murderer
I mean
that
that shot he
yeah,
hits in the last minute is unreal. Like
yeah,
Vassell you could argue that Vassell fouled him, even if you what you call it, if he didn't foul him, he's at least taken away his entire airspace. Like Brunson has no space to get that shot off, and it honestly looks short, but it is as rainbowed as it can possibly in directly in. It is gorgeous. Jalen Brunson it was one of the prettiest shots you're ever going to see in the
it was wild.
or in a or end of a finals game.
I felt like
Um,
the Spurs played such a good defensive game, and
and on the flip side of that, Jalen Brunson, Sam Cassell, big balls dance, De'Aaron Fox.
yeah, yeah. Fox had 7 points. He was 3 for 13 on the game. I
De'Aaron
mean,
Fox.
granted, Brunson
De'Aaron
was
Fox
12
lost
for
this game.
31,
De'Aaron
and
Fox lost this game for the Spurs.
you think
De'Aaron
so?
Fox is kills them at the end of this game. Just absolutely kills them. Gets some of the biggest plays of the game are Hart rips him
Yeah,
straight up, or what you call it, with like 3.5 minutes left. But after that, Fox throws the ball away twice in the last 2.5 minutes, and are turning into Josh Hart led our fast breaks for the Knicks, which lead to the 11 point run that ends the game.
yeah.
And the other one is he gets the most open, most in his bag shot when they are down four with like 50 seconds left, gets right to the front of the rim with like he's like what 7 feet away, 6 feet away with his little step back. It's the shot that he shoots all the time, and he back rims it. And that was the shot that kind of killed the game. It was like, oh, they're done. They're down four, and the Knicks have the ball. And then Brunson comes and hits that crazy rainbow shot we just described. It was just the worst string of possessions. Westbrookian is like the only way I can describe the last 3 minutes for Fox.
I mean, we had talked about how Fox was hurt coming into this, and how that he's playing on that ankle issue, and I'm curious if that may have affected him a little bit.
I, I don't think he gets
I
to
just
complain
was
about
so
ankles in a game where
right,
fucking Jalen Brunson's walking around with the Kurt Schilling
like
blood on his fucking knee.
right, yeah, right, with like one knee that gets hyperextended and then his ankle gets twisted, like
Uh-huh.
turned and gets stepped on in the
I'm
same
not
play,
saying
like right
injuries
after
don't
that.
matter. I'm
Yeah,
saying Fox made rough plays at the end there, and it made it so apparent. Why is Harper not here to trade possessions with him and not?
I just man, I just think Jalen Brunson is different. I just think he's like he is a different kind of guy. Like I just think we've seen, we've seen these Jamal Murray type games. We've seen these like big games from small guards, but they showed a stat at the beginning of the game where like he averages 26 and a half in the playoffs and like 19 in the regular season, which
Yeah,
is fucking wild.
yeah,
Like and he's such a that's what's so interesting to me is I think this Knicks team has finally come together. Again, we talked about this earlier, in what in the sort of Knicks path to this, like again with the shooting that they had, uh again, one of the things that I had keyed on before this coming in was how well Bridges had been playing.
yeah.
That Bridges and OG and Landry Shamet were all shooting like nearly 60% from the floor,
I mean, Shamit was shooting 69% coming into the playoff.
from
From
three.
three, from three.
Yeah. And
Yes.
like but OG was shooting 46.5% from three. Bridges
Yeah,
is
but
shooting
that's
38% from three, but 63% from the floor.
I
I
mean,
just
but Brunson and OG's, the thing about Brunson and OG's
yeah.
three-point percentages, those are not incredible early off of
But
their
Bridges
normal
either.
mark.
I mean, like, and Shamit's a great Shamit.
69%
I've
to
just
69%,
I
Eric.
mean, it's wild, right? Like the fact that they were doing that to me felt like, okay, well, this is amazing that they're doing this. B, there's going to be a come down, and we saw the come down today, but the Knicks still got to win, right?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
what was so impressive to me.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I don't. I'm curious, like, what you think because look, we know what happened. Again, we talked about that cat defense. Um, and to me, what's so funny is like I felt like at the end of the Cavs series is when I finally bought in. When like Cat like destroys
Mobley and Allen.
Mobley, yeah, destroys their front court, but especially Mobley in that last game, in that game
Yeah.
four. Like he out rebounded him like 13-4 or something like that. Like it was just that was the one where it was like, oh, because Mobley had been great like all year and was being aggressive and playing great, but Cat just like kept his cool and just outplayed this kid in a game that like they could have let go. You know what I mean? Like that game four, like they were up 3-0. Like I just felt like that was such an easy place for the Knicks to be like, we'll kind of phone it in, whatever. We're gonna win the fucking series. But the kind of focus that he had, that was the moment where I was like, oh, I am all the way bought in
Yeah.
into Cat, like into what's going on here. They're using him as a hub. I at the
I mean, I
beginning
think
of
he's
this
been the
game,
best player for them this playoffs. I think he's been the second best player in the playoffs.
it's
He,
crazy.
he's been
Yeah,
unbelievable. I'm not saying Brunson
yeah,
is great. Brunson,
yeah,
they can't do what they're doing without Brunson.
yeah,
But Brunson went 30 for 31 tonight,
yeah,
and he played well. But if they win this finals,
yeah.
I would not be shocked if Towns gets the Kawhi Leonard, Andre Iguodala Finals MVP of you locked up the best guy. You know what I mean? We know who the best player in the series was, and you made him so that he couldn't dominate in the way that he normally does. Um, if you were going to ask me, if all you were leading up to ask me, what did this game make you think about the rest of the series? I'll
That's not what I
say
was gonna say, but I'll go ahead and that's
nothing.
fine.
I mean,
That's a good
all I was gonna
question.
say is I don't feel particularly different about this
Yeah,
series after this game. I saw Brunson be worse than I think he's going to be regularly. I
yeah.
saw Hart kind of in the exact position I think he's going to be in. I thought Towns played out of his fucking mind, but I think that Towns has been playing out of his mind for a month and a half. And I think so much of him playing out of his mind tonight was not crazy shooting or a bunch of finishes that he can't normally get or a bunch of balls that bounced to him that led to an inflated rebound number. He had a beautiful game plan and a beautiful mindset, and he attacked advantages that other players are, that a smarter, not or excuse me, that a less smart, less just aware, situationally aware player, which he has been at other parts of his career, would not or wouldn't do. I just
Yeah.
loved he would do these DHOs in the first half. He would feel Wembanyama get ready to play in drop coverage, and he'd be like, "You're on the wrong side of me. Fuck that. Turn what you call," and he's got an advantage either going straight or either a layup straight to the rim or a pass with now guys having to close in on him. And I was just like, dude, this is Jokic stuff. You know what I mean? Like what you just saw right there was an immediate read of the situation and understanding why your defender is going to be in this position and just making the read immediately. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful basketball.
I love that they had him. They were using him as a hub early in the first, like the early part of the first quarter, where
Absolutely.
he got a couple of. I don't know if he got credited for the assist, but he got a couple of assists, what looked like assists there.
Plays where
Um,
he was clearly the playmaker. Yeah.
and they're what was nice about it was, and this was early when they had Wimby guarding him.
Yeah.
They went away from that
Wemby
when
was
Wimby
guarding him at the
stopped.
end, though. Wemby was guarding him at the end.
It was, yeah, but at the end they're going to go to Brunson. But at the early on they were using Cat in that like um uh it sort of past the elbow a little bit, like just a little bit in that like just a little bit too far for Wimby to actually be able to recover if the pass comes in, if the cut comes in. I just
Absolutely.
thought was,
And it led to a lot more layups than he usually gives up on the other side of the rim
and I
because he had
like
to get
that
there.
as a place for Cat as opposed to just having him be at the 3 point line, just
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we're gonna, you're gonna be a spot up threat only." I just felt like that was. I just really like Mike Brown's game plan. I just really liked the variety of offense that they were getting, the variety of different things that they were
And
trying.
it was also really necessary because they couldn't
Yeah.
score because a lot of
Oh,
those
right.
weren't coming up with anything. You know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
needed to keep digging at different positions and different ways to attack. And
Exactly.
I just, yeah, I'm with you. I thought Brown had a beautiful game
Yeah.
plan. I thought Towns knew exactly where he was supposed to be because of it.
Yeah.
And I just think Brunson and fucking Hart have like the fucking you want the biggest fucking cliche ever. They're just straight up like Heart of Champion guys. Like those are winners. They're just
It's
such
wild.
obvious fucking winners.
Yeah.
And they have different skills for winning. And they're so complimentary. And holy shit. I mean, like this is the end game that the Spurs don't want to be in over and over again. They want to be in games where they are in more control going into that last hour, 6 minutes. And honestly, OG Anunoby and Hart just made sure that that wasn't going to happen. They made sure this was going to be like a fucking boxing match because the Spurs had a little bit of control going into the end of the third and the
They
beginning of the
did.
fourth.
And they,
And then
yeah.
Anunoby just gets those threes. And he just rains them.
Yeah.
And
Right at the
after
start of the
that,
fourth. Yeah.
yeah, the Spurs were just a little bit trying to catch up,
Yeah.
literally, and both just the pace of the game. And
Well, the Knicks had caught up prior to that because they had that 14-point deficit at
yeah,
some point.
yeah.
And
Well, they had caught up. Yeah, they had caught up at the what you call in the middle of the third.
yeah.
And yeah. So here, I want your
The
thoughts on what this means for the rest of the series because I think we need to get to let's talk about some notes from the game part because I've got some notes and I'm sure you do too.
um I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, the funny thing is as far as the rest of the series goes, I just don't know. I'm interested. The question I was, well, a number one, I picked the Knicks, and I feel like it feels still feel good about that.
Yeah,
Obviously, right? There's a win on the road, right? In game
yeah.
one.
What are you talking
Come on.
about? Yeah,
I'm curious, and this is what I was going to ask you though is what adjustments do the Spurs make next, right? What are the things that the Spurs can do that you see um, to really maybe try to poke at some of the things that are happening that didn't go well for them. I mean, to me, when I look at what's happening in the next part of the series, anyway, I have some thoughts on that, but that's really where my mind goes next is like as far as the rest of the series go, what do the Spurs do to come back? And because to me, look, the Spurs had that 14-point lead, but to me, it felt like the Knicks kind of had control of the game for most of it. Like
Oh,
it was back and
I
forth.
strong. Oh, I don't
Oh
agree.
no. Yeah,
No, no, no.
there was a point where you were like, "Oh, the Spurs have got it. They're in control. They're gonna take
When
it."
the Spurs were up 14, it
Yeah,
felt like the Knicks, with the way that Brunson was playing, might just not have their night
yeah,
and that they might have to give up fairly soon.
yeah.
And instead, what ended up happening was Wembanyama went to the bench and they caught it up within 8 very, very quickly. And
That
I
was one of the
thought
notes I had. But go ahead.
I just thought that the Spurs would have been a little more resilient in the non-Wembanyama minutes
Yeah,
because it
they
wasn't
were
what
the
happened in the
first time he sat, but not the rest of the time he sat.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they look great in the first in the first quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah. In the third quarter specifically, that's what happened is they were up 14. He sits, they're up like 5, and he has to come back in like 2.5 minutes.
but we saw
And
that exact same thing in the OKC series.
but it
That was
didn't
one of the
happen the
notes that
same
I
way.
had.
But it didn't
Where
happen the same way. In
yeah, okay,
OKC, it was like, oh, they're just going straight at the rim at Cornette every
yeah,
fucking time. And
yeah,
here they did a little, that was a little bit what happened,
yeah,
but it just felt like what they really saw was, oh, we are a team that cuts a lot and bangs on the offensive rebounds a lot. And what we found in this first half with Wembanyama and the first 7 or 6 minutes of the third quarter was we just don't have our fucking angles, man. Like no matter how we bang in, he's just cutting off everything easy. So the
yeah,
cuts are gone. Everything becomes a mid-range shot. And where it's just tough to get all these mid-range shots. And when he came out of the game, it wasn't that they were just going to the rim left and right, but it was that the board suddenly got way more open.
yeah.
And Cornette is a normal human being. And
Right.
so he can't cover up both sides of the fucking lane and make Hart and Alvarado and everybody just be like, well, fuck, man. Like, am
I feel
I?
like this whole playoff sucks so bad for Luke Cornett, and not because Luke Cornett is bad, but because he just like the teams on the other side are like, oh, thank God, like, oh, a normal center, just a normal person, or
He's
not
just the
even normal
backup
person, a
quarterback
normal
to
fucking
Tom
giant.
Brady. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like
It's like, holy
he's just
shit.
got the wrong he's just got the wrong job. He's just got the
Yeah,
wrong job. I watched this game or excuse me. If you ask me what adjustments I see to be made in the future or in other games, what I think is obvious here is the thing that I said first. Harper has to be Harper has to be a more central part of their
yeah.
offense. Harper has to be the guy
He has to
that
play
they
in the fourth.
are going after Brunson pretty
Yeah,
much every possession with. Because when he went after him in the first half, just he had no chance. Like Brunson had no chance whatsoever. He had him in trouble, or he made him look like he was in trouble every fucking time. And if Harper has better lanes, that can work. But the biggest problem I had for Wembanyama in this game was Wembanyama was getting stopped by Cat in the middle of the lane, and when he would normally spin and get to a good shot on the side, there
yeah.
was help every fucking time. Like there was just so many arms there whenever that spin came. And so what
They
I
got at
expect,
least two steals on
yeah.
that spin, and
And even when there wasn't a
OG
steal,
or
and
Hart or
even when
Bridges
there
jumped
wasn't a
in.
steal, Wembanyama saw traffic and got and made a read a little bit worse or a little bit slower than he normally would have. And I think when they watch film again, they're gonna go, "Hey, when he gets to the middle of the floor there, we need to know where their help is coming from so that way we can have guys pop right into his eye or into his eye line because there are wide open threes there, but he's not seeing them until he jumps in the air and makes a decision. And that second gives
It's
their
true.
defenders time to rotate back and make those shots a lot harder.
Yeah,
But in the first half, they were less certain on where they were helping from on some of those times. And it just led to Champagny just getting open,
yeah,
right off the catch. You know what I mean? Like immediately getting the catch. And in the second half, he just had worse shots, and they had worse shots in general.
yeah.
And so I think those are the two big adjustments I see coming here. But honestly, like they need to be a little bit worried that the Knicks are just going to shoot better next game. And I especially particularly Brunson. Brunson will shoot better in one of these games, and you
Yeah,
will, and Castle won't be able to just push him around the way he wants
yeah.
to. I don't think, but I also think watching the game, the Knicks are putting a lot of guys. The Knicks are really thin. Like we think of the Knicks as like they've added some real pieces here and it's really nice, but the Knicks are really thin in that Robinson didn't give them a real push in a lot of the minutes he was out there tonight. He got some really good at the end of the game. A couple of I told you there was those three possessions by Brunson. Two
Yeah.
of them were transition, one against Cornette, one against Wemby, but one of them was Wembanyama just getting screened off by Mitchell Robinson in the lane, and that was awesome. That's what Robinson has to do on offense to be useful.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get a lot of lobs in this series. Um, but the Knicks run a really it wasn't Tibbs' fault, is what I'm trying to say. Tibbs had to play these guys because these are his five best guys. Like he doesn't have a lot of other guys. McBride was awesome in this game. McBride can be awesome continually, but it's really like those six guys. Robinson is the seventh guy, and then Alvarado is shaky. Shamit gave you great minutes here, but Shamit,
I was surprised honestly that Alvarado played as much as he did.
yeah,
He
I was
hasn't been
too.
playing that much, and his minutes in the playoffs this year have been bad.
And they didn't
Like
look
I've
great
kind of,
tonight.
what's funny is
Except for those two
one of
minutes.
my
Except for those
yeah
2 minutes I just described. Yeah.
one of my notes is that Alvarado was okay, kind of
Yeah.
like, but he was killing them really in that Atlanta series. He just was getting killed. And I don't think he'd played that much. I feel like Alvarado plays because Brunson has to sit more and miss. Funny enough, I mean Brunson played 37 minutes, but like he led them in minutes, but it felt like, especially in that first half, that you had to go to Alvarado. I think that those are great points. I'm with you. I do feel like uh, if Robinson is out, like and by say out, I mean like he might end up out of the rotation. Like he was -4. Landry Shamet had 13 on 5 for 9 shooting, three for 6 from three, but still -10 in the game. Alvarado like shot it well, but I fucking hated his minutes. Like I just yeah, I'm
I
just
think
kind
we
of with you.
saw.
I feel like it's like a Deuce McBride. Maybe Shamit plays like I felt like Shamit's defense is a lot better than I've seen him in most of his career, which is awesome. But still, I mean
If you talk
their
another
starters
adjustment,
feel like
if you
go
want to talk
ahead.
about another adjustment, it's putting those three guard lineups out there when Chamit's out there and making him
Yeah,
fucking defend
yeah,
what you call because I just don't think he can do it. But
yeah,
Shamit is going to be one of the guys that the Knicks are going to play. I
yeah,
think I think both rotations just got whittled down to 8 after tonight. I think Barnes had some good minutes against Brunson in the third quarter, but I don't think that's a he looked out of place for me a lot in this game. I also think
he
Carter
was 0
Bryant
for 2 from the floor. Yeah, I'm
I think
with you.
Carter
I think
Bryant and Harrison Barnes can both guard Brunson one on one, but they don't really have an offensive place in the series, and
yeah,
that kind of makes it so that they're just probably not going to be able to play too much. And on
yeah,
the other end, I just think you're just not gonna. I don't want to see a single Jordan Clarkson minute again in this series, and I get a little worried about how Robinson played tonight.
yeah.
But honestly, they've got a lot. They're big. Their wings are big. Let's see if they'll throw out some of these Ananobis starting at the five lineups eventually. If that's what ends up happening here, if Robinson can't really contribute in this series.
Yeah, I thought Robinson was awful, and it may be the hand thing, but I didn't feel like I feel like to me, I felt coming in, I was like, oh, Robinson and OG are why I think the Knicks may defend Wemby well. Man, when Robinson was out there, they were like, Wemby just wanted to go at him. You could see like he was like, okay, cool. Let me back up a little bit. Let me back up to the 3 point line. This
I'm
man
gonna get a foul on
cannot
this guy every fucking
fucking
time.
stay in front of me, and it didn't look like
Yes,
he could.
and he couldn't, and he
So
couldn't.
yeah, he absolutely couldn't. Well, the big thing for me as far as adjustments goes is just kind of taking care of the ball. You know, I think
What's
it
funny
was
is neither team turned over the ball very much in this game. It feels like they did, but
the Spurs had
Spurs had
13
13
turnovers,
and the Knicks had
six of
8.
them. Yeah, they really
Those are
did.
pretty. Those are pretty low. Wembanyama had 6 of those
He had
turnovers. That
six.
was the rough part.
That's a and Wimby in particular. I felt like I just feel like he and I and what's funny is I feel like there just may be another lesson for him. I just feel like this kid, like over and over and over, there have just been lessons that he's learning, like in this playoffs, and he and Harper are just such preternatural. I mean, Harper's wild. I'm kind of like, do we need to
He's
just
on my
start
notes list. If you want
Harper?
to knock that out right now, I'd be happy to talk about Dylan Harper.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it. I got like four notes about him too. I just think like, and I'm kind of with you that it's like, are we at the place where we just need to start this motherfucker? Like, because that's what I felt like in those bench minutes. After like the first quarter was funny, but after we got through that first quarter, it felt like I'm 100% with you. I felt like when the bench minutes came in, I was like, man, the Spurs have such an advantage of here just because of Harper, because Harper's so good, and the Spurs just don't have anybody even comparable coming off
The
their
Knicks.
bench.
The Knicks. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, the
they
Knicks.
don't.
Thank you.
How,
Yeah,
how, how
yeah,
could you? How could you? They have a
yeah.
guy, you know what I mean? Like they have this guy who looks like some Jimmy Butler, James Harden
Yeah.
fucking mix on their bench, just coming in to put in
And he just
buckets
looks
over and over.
so as a rookie. And he just looks so calm and ready and just over and over and over. We've seen this kid come in as a fucking baby and just look like a vet, just
Harper was the
over and
young, became
over
the
and over.
youngest player tonight to ever score double digits in the finals. He did that in 6 minutes.
And he was a leading scorer for them through like all but the last 2 minutes until Champagny went on that run in the second
Yeah.
quarter where he just like Champagny went 5 for 6 from three. He was the leading scorer in the game
Yeah.
at that point in the first half. Like, and he was good in the second half. I'm kind of with you. I just kind of wonder, and I didn't note it at the time, but like now that you pointed out, like the absence of Harper, especially down the stretch, like in the fourth, like this kid he was maybe your best player in the first half, and I don't know,
And he
and
played
and it's
28 minutes in this game. And I
and
loved
it's
it. In
and
28
it's not
minutes
like
were
it's
super impressive.
it's a fluke that he was
Also
there.
had
You know what
eight
I mean?
rebounds. He had eight
Yeah.
rebounds out there. Like, come on. Give this
Wow.
kid, put the ball in his hands, at least
Yeah.
have him sharing decision making with
Yeah.
fucking Castle and
With
Fox.
Castle. Yeah.
And okay,
Well, and especially with and not to beat a dead horse, but like, uh, which is the worst expression? Let's just be real. Like, we should just never say that. Come the fuck on. Like, what do we love horses? Why are we beating them? Who has ever beat a dead horse? Like, we are so broken as a society that these are the things. These are our idioms. Like, it's awful. Like over and over. Okay.
I
Anyway,
think this
what
is
the fuck?
officially we're too woke. We're too woke. You're over
No,
here.
I'm not. You can go to fucking hell. Like I don't. Anyway, whatever. That's fine. I'm also probably homeschooling my kid. I contemplated that today. Just.
Really?
Yeah. It's we're gonna get. This is not a conversation for this
Oh my
podcast.
God.
I just.
Eric's
I'm.
making big life decisions on the pod.
Oh, I'm. No, I just like I
I
texted that to
assumed I
Danielle, and then
assumed you had talked with your wife
as a
about this.
thought, and she was like, "Well, I thought about ignoring this text, but I'm gonna like." Anyway, whatever. No, I mean, I just like yeah, anyway, I just what I was gonna say is with Fox being limited, yeah, Fox plays 10 more minutes than Harper in this game. Like maybe just let him rest a
Yeah, and
little
they
bit
were they
too.
were a
You know what I
painful 10
mean?
minutes.
They were. Fox of the starters, Wembanyama was -3.
Yeah.
Uh Vassell, funny. Well, Vassell was
Well,
-3.
I mean, all the starters
Fox, yeah,
became minus after they went down 10 and or at the end of the game,
yeah,
which you'll call it. But it's Vassell who you see on here is the bloody murder here. He just didn't score well. He didn't play. Mostly to me, the thing that made Vassell have such a bad game was that Hart had 15 rebounds. Like that. That's
I
where it's
mean,
like,
Vassell had 9. I just,
yeah,
I
yeah.
did
But where
look.
they weren't on the fourth quarter like that.
I did think another thing to me is Keldon Johnson only plays 8 minutes. I feel like that's going to change, and that kind of has to change.
Johnson has to give them more, and I think he can in this series. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think he has a place in this series. Yeah, they have to play him a little bit more, and
that's what I mean. I just think I think
the
the
reliance on Fox tonight was just a little weird to me.
yeah.
Like it's like I'm not saying he's not great. He's your all star. He's highest paid player for some reason. He needed to not be relied upon as much as he was when he wasn't having a good game,
Yeah,
and they took the ball out of the hands of their two future players. I'm sorry, Wembanyama, what you call it, was getting the ball taken out of his hands by the Knicks, but it was Mitch Johnson who decided that our Dylan Harper shouldn't have had the ball in his hands at the end of the game.
yeah.
I want
Okay,
to
let's go to notes. Yeah,
I want to wrap things up. So I want to get to the notes. A lot of these we've already talked about, and so I can burn through a few of them. I just I loved the first play of the game. Brunson gets a three, like within like the first like 10 seconds of the game. Love that play. Love that Brown knew immediately Brunson's going to have a hard game. This is going to be his first game really getting hounded by guys in this entire playoffs. And he's going to want to see the ball go through the net fairly early. So that way he can feel pretty good about himself. And so that he doesn't, when he's dribbling, pounding the ball, he has the faith in himself. Obviously, he's Jalen Brunson. He doesn't need just the first shot. But it's such a cool idea that they just run a little brush screen for him to come off and get a wide open three. And just they were like, oh, you don't think we're gonna just shoot for when our
Yeah.
best player has the ball in, or at least our best shooter has the ball
I
in
mean,
his
it was an
hand?
open shot too.
It
But yeah,
was. They created a beautiful shot for him. Loved that play call. And that Wembanyama on the other side goes and hits a little fadeaway against Cat. Felt like, huh, are we seeing a coaching disadvantage here immediately? Because
huh?
Brown affects immediately how this goes. And on the other end, Wemby just straight up one-on-one talents his way through what you call it to get his bucket. And through the rest of the game, I mean, it wasn't that the Knicks just got a bunch of easy shots. It was that the Knicks got easier shots created by their offense than the Spurs offense created for them.
Yeah.
Um, okay, yeah, a couple more. Brunson, I need to see him be healthy, man. There was some ugly, weird, semi-injury looking things at the beginning of this game. And if there's a real answer for like why the Spurs might actually run away with this at some point, even though they won this first game, it'll be because Brunson's hurt.
Yeah,
And
if when Brunson went back to the locker room, I was like, oh well,
yeah,
okay,
it could have
I
been
guess it's
done.
over now.
Like the whole
Yeah,
series could have been done right there.
yeah,
But Brunson comes back like Luca a few years ago with the blood on the knee, and he looked awesome, and he does a bunch of awesome shit because Jalen Brunson's a fucking killer. Jalen Brunson's a fucking killer. Julian Champagny, I have Zach Lowe's been talking a lot about like since they switched out Barnes and what you call it and Champagny in the lineup,
Champagne.
it really changed everything. That's not actually what happened. They had Champagny and Barnes in the lineup together for a while. What happened was they started the series or the year off with Vassell and Barnes. They switched Vassell out for what you call it for Champagny, and then at the end of January they switch out Barnes for Vassell and go, we want actually two shooters who move a lot and play a little more defense. Since that, and Champagny also was like, Champagny was the reason why the Spurs had a big lead in this game and might have run away with it had that 2 minute stretch in the third quarter not happened.
Yeah.
They are 42 and 12. Spurs are 42 and 12 since then.
Huh? That's a stat for you.
That good? I think that's good.
I mean, it
Um,
seems it seems pretty good. I
I
mean, you know,
and then let me see. Just look, man. it, I'm a little worried about the Spurs ball handling here because it really does feel like there's just Harper is one of their most consistent guys, but he doesn't bring the ball up the court a lot. Castle's their guy who brings the ball up the court, and he's kind of their most reliable bring the ball or player to do that. And he's got the most turnovers in the playoffs this side of Kate
he
Cunningham
only
and James
had two in
Harden.
this game.
He was great in this game, didn't do it a lot. I just want to know that worries me a little in this series. As many ball handlers as they look like they have, man, Hart and Ananobi can really fucking affect that. And a couple more things before I'm done, and I'll ask you if you got any more here. Just I was talking with my friend Alex, guest of the show, Alex Sons, about the advantages that the Knicks have here, and he kept bringing up the wings of the Knicks that are different than the Thunder last series because they're longer and they're bigger.
They're just bigger. Yeah, they are in a way kind of like a big like that's the funny part about OKC and the Spurs is that they're kind of built similarly and that they're not big and then they have a giant. You know?
Yes, yes. What I found interesting about this game, because I told Alex, I was like, look, they really only have two huge wings. McBride and Hart are similar to the guys who they just played in the last series.
Yeah,
I was
for
like, it's
sure.
really you're talking about Bridges and Anunoby. And I was
Yeah,
like, and Anunoby's going to be busy this whole series on Wembanyama. And the real answer to why that wasn't a factor today and why the wings did affect the passing lanes and their length was a real big deal was the cat was the one who guarded Wembanyama
yeah,
most of the
held his
game.
own. Yeah, that
And
was just such
it's
a
like Mike Brown told Cat, like, hey, this doesn't really work unless you can find a way to stand up against this guy enough. And tonight, he stood up enough.
Yeah.
And that, if that keeps happening,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of the adjustment is just Wembanyama. Hey, get your fucking weight up.
Yeah.
But that and he had a lot of help tonight, like I said earlier, but still that he wasn't getting blown by, like that Wembanyama doesn't just see free lunch the way he does when he sees Mitchell Robinson. That means so much because that just buys them an extra second to send their help, to keep their eyes focused, and to be ready to help. And it was so meaningful tonight. Those wings actually did affect the lanes like people said they would because
Yeah.
Anunoby wasn't spending all of his energy guarding Wembanyama the whole game.
Well, and to piggyback off that, a conversation that we had coming into this was, again, my saying I think the Knicks will do well at defending Wimby because of OG, and then you were like, well, the cross matches are going to be tricky because on the other side, et cetera, that they're going to, but they're going to want to put Wimby on Cat, uh, but that's not what they want. They seem
That's just not what they did.
they were trying to keep Wimby off Cat so that way Wimby could roam, and that they did have success at that. But then on the other side, it was like no, they were just trying to guard him with Cat, which again I think also per your cross matching situation, honestly, maybe what the Knicks want. You know what I mean? Like
Because what
I
they
just
want is Wembanyama having to figure out how to get off of
so
Cat
exactly
on
because
defense.
if he has to guard one on one, then he's guarding one guy
And if he's
instead of your whole fucking
And
team.
if he's guarding him on this end, if he's
Yeah,
guarding on this end, then they're naturally going to guard each other on the other end.
yeah.
That's the real magic of Brown figuring out, hey, Cat,
Or
guard
Cat just like
Wembanyama.
fucking doing it. You know what I mean? Just being able to hold
No
his own.
foul trouble, no
And
real foul trouble. That's the
yeah, I
real
mean, there
trick
was
to this
those
one.
two at the beginning of the third, but outside of that,
That's the real trick to this one. Does he stay that way? Does it stay
yeah,
that way? If he can, man, the Knicks have a real good chance in this series. They also got to stay like just relatively healthy and not winded. But Wembanyama look winded. But that's the thing is like the Spurs look deep, but they've only got one freak, and he looked tired in this
yeah,
game. And that's the alternative. Yes, the Knicks are older and they can get tired, but man, Wembanyama looked rough in some of those minutes in the third. He just looked like he was gassed. He was also shutting down everything the fucking Knicks were putting up at that moment. But it was still, I saw him like really breathing hard here.
yeah. I mean, again, coming back to that, I do think just to backtrack a little bit in our conversation of what the Spurs can do, in a way, it's like I think Wimby did what like he's going at Cat. Like you want to get Cat in foul trouble, Cat will foul you. But again, it's like I've seen this a few times now in these playoff games where that's to me among the more impressive, like on the floor, on the floor, on the court things that Cat is doing
Yeah.
that are surprising. When I say his attitude or like his uh like the sort of energy that he's bringing, it's that focus because this happened to him too. This happened to him in the Cavs series. We saw it happen a few other times where he would pick up some fouls and then he locks back in and doesn't. I mean, this is what you see or you expect from your best players,
Yeah.
right? Like Wimby got that fifth foul in Game 7, right? And like, and he sat very briefly, and then we saw him come right back in with the trust of Miss Johnson that he's just not going to pick up another foul, right? That it's like, hey, you're too important, don't foul again. And Cat's done that. Cat in his career has never fucking done that. He's always fouled out, but now it's like he's doing it, which is just so impressive. The few notes I had, Brunson starts 1 for 8. His shooting in general, the shooting for both teams was rough, right? Like we
Yeah.
had this defensive game. Hart started the game with 3 fouls in 7 minutes, like with like 7:44 left in the second. Ended the game with 4 fouls. Like again, these guys, like I just it's just impressive how they're locking in. It's just impressive from the Knicks how they're putting it together on both ends of the floor. Um, yeah, I said early on, I was like, I just loved Cat's energy. Harper was so big, that Champagny run. He starts 5 for 6 from three. I mean, he ends 5 for 11. So what's
He
that
took
tell
some
you?
tough ones in the third, and then he just kind of stopped taking some of the ballsier shots, and they kind of needed those to keep opening up the offense, and that hurt them too. But it really hurt that Vassell didn't take any of those today because
Yeah.
he just clearly didn't want to in this game, and they weren't letting
Well,
him get a lot of.
Vassell took 11 shots. He was just 4 for 11, and he was 1 for 6 from three. So
Yeah, but he doesn't take a ton of those threes are in the first half. Like he does
yeah.
not take a bunch of open threes in the second half. There was a lot of passing off of the ball in
And
the.
Vassell should be, in theory, a guy kind of like Bridges is on the Knicks, who's going to take threes, but he's going to do more than that. Like he's out
Yeah,
there to kind of put it on the floor sometimes. So like be
he's
a
out there to do a
release
little bit of
valve,
it. Yeah,
do a little bit of creation, right?
yeah.
To really to be that release valve for some of these other guys. And I'm with you. It just didn't seem like he had anything going tonight.
They got to see a
Offensively.
better game out of him in game two. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Knicks ball movement. I love the variety of their offense. I just think another thing that I think is really interesting about this Knicks run is that we've just seen these kind of models before where we have this like very defensive minded coach who maybe doesn't coach great in the on offense, and we've seen an offensive coach take over for that coach and like take these teams to titles, right? We saw
Yeah.
Flip Saunders do it in Detroit.
He didn't take him
um
to a title. He took him to a 61 season the next year.
oh no, they didn't
Yeah.
win.
No, they only win the one title under Larry Brown.
Oh,
Then they
that's
win
true, and
60
it was
games.
actually under Larry
Then they
Brown.
win 60 games the next year, and their four guys all get into the All-Star game. But they lose in the conference finals to the what you call it to the Heat.
Okay, let's leave Flip out of this. We definitely saw Steve Kerr do this.
Steve Kerr's the obvious one.
Um,
Steve Kerr's the guy
right.
for
Yeah,
this. Tyronn Lue, you could even
yeah.
give a little bit of this credit.
Uh-huh.
But and then the other guy we think of is Kenny Atkinson taking over for David Bickerstaff last year
Yeah.
and turning the Cavs from a pretty good operation into a 60-win team immediately. They, of
Yeah.
course, choke in the second round against Indiana, but whatever.
Well, and again, we've seen this in other examples where sometimes eventually the defense kind of starts to slip, but you have some holdover of the defense,
Yeah.
from the previous coach, and then you have a new offense installed. I feel like that's yeah. I feel like we've seen kind of this model before, and it feels like it's a good one. I don't know. So that's an interesting thing to note. Just kind of big picture on the game itself. Things I haven't noted. Just the Knicks really started off that third quarter in a rough way, right? They were too
Yeah.
afraid to begin, and then just managed to figure it out. You had mentioned this a couple times. I thought the first quarter time that Wimby sat was funny in that it felt like the Knicks hadn't seen enough of Wembanyama yet to like really feel like this is an imperative moment where we fucking score. Oh my god! Like the Spurs went up.
But by the third quarter, they recognized
Yeah,
there will not be
even
a window
even
like this again.
even
Yeah.
Wimby sat, I think, late in the second
He
again,
did.
or
And
somewhere in
they
the
and they
second.
and they and they closed it up a little bit there too.
Yeah, I just felt like by that point we saw like he had blocked enough shots that they had seen how fucking hard it is to play against this man.
It's the
That
blocks, and it's just how many
yeah,
times you just don't shoot. You just go
like
into the
the
lane and you just don't shoot. The
yeah
U-turns.
the U-turns are just like it's like patented at this point. I mean, we didn't get to talk about it, but the most iconic one to me that I'm going to remember is that Shea
It's Shea.
U-turn at
Yeah.
the end of the game when they
Yeah.
needed a shot and it looked
With
like he
with
was
five
open
fouls. With five fouls.
and
Like you gotta
he
take
just
it to
turned
his
it
chest
down.
here. And he's still
Yeah,
like,
it's still just like no man, I just can't. That's just not a good
I'm not gonna turn it well. And it
right.
and well,
Just the fucking MVP, man.
I
Anyway,
got one
yeah.
I got one
Uh
more thing I want to get out there. If you got another one, go first. One more thing I
I
wanted to
got a
talk.
couple like little things. Um on the broadcast they mentioned this. I just really, this was like middle of the fourth that there was a stat that the Knicks were 3 for 14 went on shots that Wemby guarded, but Wemby was 1 for 8 on shots that Cat was guarding him up to that
Yes.
point.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. I mean, there was that weird moment where the fan ran on
That's
the
all I wanted to end with. All I
yeah.
wanted to end with was talking about that. Was what I really loved about that happening, besides Wembanyama's big ass grin at the whole concept, just thought it was funny, not in any way afraid, just like ha. And the guy was all of this so he can get a fucking selfie with Wembanyama,
That's what was
basically
so
on the
funny.
floor.
That was the thing that got me. Was I was like, recently I feel like we've seen protesters like come on the floor on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen this in a finals game, at least in
We
a
haven't I haven't
while.
seen this in an NBA in an NBA game in a very long
Yeah,
time.
I feel like it's common in like football a little bit more.
Yeah, which is hilarious
Um,
considering that the NBA has guys or has a bunch of people standing right there.
right, yeah, right,
Uh,
and people on the floor. But it was so. I feel like what I've seen recently is people trying to platform like a message or something like that, some
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like a protest, like a sign,
This
something
guy just
like
wanted a
that.
selfie.
Yeah, he just like they show a picture of me. He's like, yeah, look at me. Like this, I couldn't get over it. I was like, this is amazing. And they literally had to stop the fucking game, have a jump ball because they didn't know what the fuck to do. Yeah, I loved it.
These are the best. These are the final, or these playoffs have had the best ratings in like 27 years for
Huh?
the
Huh?
NBA. This is the finals. We got the future against the goddamn Knicks and a team full of fucking prime stars.
Yeah.
It feels like a big day. Even the fucking dumbass fans are coming out on the like it's an event.
Yeah.
We got the fucking event on our hands.
It's amazing. I was speaking to that. That was going to be my very last note. Was just how many fucking Knicks fans were there?
Oh, bro.
Fucking John Turturro was that also John
Saw
Turturro?
that. Saw
That
that.
was
John
fucking awesome.
Turturro.
I was like John
Chalamet,
Turturro. Yeah,
Chalamet and Ben
Chalamet was
Stiller, you
there.
think have the check for this?
Right.
Makes you happy that those Cohen's checks are still so
Yeah.
solid for
I mean,
John
who
Turturro.
knows? But just like love it. I love that he but also like early in the game, I texted you this. I was like, oh, there's so many Knicks fans. Like Deuce McBride on every single shot that he hit, you heard dudes like
Like it's
just
MSG. I know.
fucking crazy. I
And what's
really I
funny
feel
is the
like
Spurs
yeah.
were like taking away people's what you call it season
This is
passes.
the fucking. I feel like we talked about this a little bit earlier in the year when there was or like in the regular season toward the end of the regular season there was
It was a
there was a
Hornets. I
game.
think it was a Hornets Knicks
It was a
game.
Charlotte's game. No, it was a Boston,
Oh,
and
but yeah.
and it was like right during the NCAA tournament, and like all the North Carolina teams, the Duke was in the Final Four, and I think they were playing at the same time. So it's like you kind of get, but anyway, but it felt like a home game for Boston
This didn't
in
feel
that.
quite like that, but it was
No,
incredible
absolutely
that
not.
it's the finals and
And it's
that
the
there's
fucking
anything
Spurs.
like
This
that.
is a storied franchise. This is a franchise that loves their fucking city, I mean, loves the
There
team,
are just a lot more people in New York with $5,000 to spend than there are.
right?
You know what? That's all it is.
Just just wild. I just yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the first time I remember that kind of fan
Response.
travel in a while,
Yeah.
fans traveling like that. It's just but per your point, I just think yeah, and for I think that's where we are. I love this parody era. I love that we're in it. I love that we're in this era with defensive teams. I love that we're gonna have like the like again a new title winner after 8 years in a row of having that we're gonna have 9 years in a row, that we're pushing a decade now of like no repeat title winners, and no repeat title winners in that entire stretch
Yeah.
is just, I think it's fantastic.
I mean, even the
um
70s weren't this crazy. Like,
right I
seriously.
just
Like the
yeah
Celtics and the Knicks both won two in the
yeah
70s. This doesn't, yeah. And now maybe that's the kind of era we're in because the Knicks might win it again.
no
All right.
I yeah
All right. We've been doing this for an hour. You and I need to go to bed. You
yeah
have a second child on the way that could come at any moment. You should
any
probably
moment
wait.
now, like any moment, right? Just
Yes.
like just could happen. Who knows?
Yes.
I better go inside and check. Who the fuck knows? Could be a baby in
I
there right now. The
want to
second one.
say rest in peace to Stephen Kelly before the end of this episode. And thank you for listening to The Way We Ball with you. I'll see you this weekend, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna try
Yeah.
again. All right, I'm
Yeah, we
Eric
got more
Todd.
finals. Peace.